Hey, in this video here, I'm just going to show you how I've created these shapes in SketchUp, and I've done them over top of this image. So I'm going to show you how to bring an image in as well. So if we can head on over to SketchUp, I've already got this file that I have been working on. I'm just going to turn off all the materials. So on the right-hand side, just a reminder, styles is the style attributes of this. So things like color and the line are there. So I'm just going to turn that right off and actually just make it this. Now you'll have a fresh new document, so you won't quite have anything on your page yet. So you just open up a document in millimeters. You should recall how to do that. If it opens up automatically in a blank screen, just go back to the home and open it up in millimeters, or in fact you could come down here to this icon right hand side and change it from inches to millimeters. Worth checking on. We're not actually working yet to millimeter value. We're working more with just proportions and such, but that will be a factor later on. So yeah, you won't have anything on your page just yet. So here's an image. I'll show you how to bring yours in. So for now, I'll just delete mine and I'll bring mine back in. So here it's an import function. So file, the three lines rather, import from my device. It's all pretty, sort of supposed to be intuitive. You're importing something, you find your file, open, doesn't matter if it's the right way around. And in this case, it's not a material. Well, we can do that later on. This is actually an image. So you click image. And at the moment, it's just kind of attached to that cursor. So you need to click once where you want to start the placement of it and stretch it out and click twice. Now, for the sake of your computers and the processing speed, I'd keep this kind of small. Like you'll notice the lady I've got there compared to the houses I've got, they're not real life size compared to her. They should be much bigger. But that's because I just want to ideate and I want to kind of have lots of little stuff going on. So just kind of keep it small, keep it approximately that size compared to her, so that we are working small and we're not going to overload and overwork your computers, because things do add up, especially things that are circular and whatnot. So now that I've got that, I'm going to view that in a very top-down view. So over here on the right-hand side, scenes, that movie clipper. If you hover over it, it will say scenes, and we've got the houses here. So we just want to click the middle house for a bird's eye view. And to really make it super 2D, we could click this lower cube and put it in parallel projection, but we'll just keep it in perspective. So all you're doing now is you should just be zooming in and out with your fingers scrolling up or down the keypad. I know that there's icons in the bottom left, that the icon for a mouse and the icon for a trackpad, and our laptop users tend to put it on the trackpad, but when of course you use your zoom like this, it actually flips this area around, and you'll know what I mean if you're sitting there experiencing that. So I always actually keep it on the mouse functionality and just zoom in and out by scrolling my fingers up or down on the trackpad rather than pinching, because you need to zoom in and out a lot, and the pinching just will get a little much, I think. And it's slower. It's a lot slower than just kind of scrolling backwards and forwards. Okay, so I brought in that image. Now, these are the man-made images, and all my shapes haven't come from this one. So I recommend to ideate and show strength in the external and to show uniqueness in your design. I wouldn't do it from this one. So in fact, I'm just going to do that again and import my device. This is good practice. And get the nature-based one. First click places it down, let go, drag it up. Second place confirms the size of it. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to go over some basics of how I modeled these really organic shapes. You do have to I used only to the left-hand side. I basically only used circles, I used rectangles, I used 2-point arc more often than not. That's really the only compass I sort of really generally only use, and a pencil. So it was really these three and an eraser. And that's really about it. So with these shapes, for example, they actually got rounded edges. I kind of start with C for circle and I zoom right in on them and just kind of click, drag out, and that's one. And then in these areas here, click, drag out, two. I could do click, drag out, three. I'm trying to keep them approximately the same size. Of course, I could just do one and copy and paste and move it so that they are all identical. I'm using the guide that was just there in red. So that's that one, and yep, they're not all identical. That's fine. If you want to make them identical, just do one copy paste. With the pencil tool, I connect the tangent points. So you did technical drawing last year. You should remember what a tangent point is. A tangent point is like the very, very edge of this, which this will connect to before, like it's not going to connect to here, and I'm not going to be able to drag a straight line around that edge. And here would be kind of a clumsy transition. So the place to connect it to is, I feel, is this one. That would likely be possibly the best one, or maybe this one. Now, a point also to note here is that these are actually polygons. They're multi-sided shapes. Before I carry on, I'm going to click the very perimeter. You have to do this now. You can't do it later, retrospectively. You have to do it now. And then here, in this button on the far right-hand side, entity information, you'll notice it's made up of 24 segments. So before we continue any further, if you have a circular design and you're using circles and arches, I'm going to pump that up to like 60, and it smooths out like a lot. So you can do that to all the rest. I'm not going to bother right now, but you can do that to the rest. So yeah, just kind of click and then join it to a point which makes sense there. If it's still got a bit of string or a bit of a line, just click one more time and it should go away. And then likewise to that edge too. I am going to do it to this edge. It'll make the underside of this pointy, but that's fine. So you would know that actually this would be another circle in itself and would be coming up and over that circle. So I'll just do that quickly. So what I'm saying is that if you remember doing this with a technical drawing, it would actually have been like this. That's how that would have been created. You would have this circle to create the arc up there, and you'd have this circle underneath to create the arc here. Of course, we can use a compass as well, but this is just an easy way. And then I'd come into this one, transitioning at a point like that, and I would come around maybe to here, and then to go down to that one. And again, just if you got that left over, you need to place it down somewhere else. And then we need to finish that off here, and probably that one there. If for some reason it's not stitching together and becoming fully white, again, just keep clicking around until it does. And then we can use the eraser and erase the interior shapes, and also that one there, which we don't need. And you see it left a bit of an arch, and that one there, and that one there. So that's kind of circles and the pencil. For this one here, you can use something like a compass, and you can just try and find, so this is a 2-point compass, meaning you're going to click twice, one here and one across here, and you're going to go up and find the arc, right? And then we're going to start here, and then a little one here, and so zoom in here and here. Now the green is tangent. So the green is saying that it's a really smooth transition from the one prior to this into this one. That is what a tangent is. It's making sure that it connects really, really smoothly. And then that one there, to here. So again, anything less than that green indicator wouldn't be tangent. And it's okay that it looks different to my drawing. Like, that's totally fine. And anyway, I could carry on and keep going. I could do one here and one here. And then at that point, make it green, and then just press escape. Right, so that's that. And then what you want to do is for this particular shape, I actually want to make a duplication, like an exact copy. So I'm holding shift, which is either going to allow you to select more or deselect fewer. And then with that done, the fast copy and paste, you should know, if I engage M for move, put it right there on that point and hit Control on a Windows computer or Option or Command on, I think it's Option on a Mac, should bring up that little plus indicator. So by clicking now, it makes a duplicate, and then I can drag it down and do a point to point, right? So that's a really, really smart way of copying. Now, it didn't line up quite as I had wanted, so I am just going to scoosh it over, and I'm probably going to delete that line there. And all I then did was just use the L tool and kind of capped it off there. Again, that means it's not quite joined, so click it down until it naturally lets go, and that one there and that one there, and it fills with white. So that's really all I'm doing. I'm just playing around with them, and as I make these shapes, I'm triple clicking them, right clicking them. So triple click, right click, make it a group. Triple click, right click, make it a group. You can click and drag over these, but now I've got other things in the way. That doesn't always work when the page starts to get really busy. And the point of that is that once I've got a bunch of these different shapes, I can use my functions like the move tool again, move tool, put it on a point, control key, click, drag it away, and then I can do a couple of lines or a rectangle, maybe even just a couple of random lines. I could do a couple of random lines there, and I could just kind of go like that. Right, and join that up. That didn't quite join, so I'll just go with that. Right, like that. And then I can actually select both this one, right click, and I could just explode that, and right click and explode that. So now they're kind of all merged together. And again, eraser tool, and just go in and clean up that unwanted stuff and just be a little bit particular. Now, although I've ungrouped them, if I did want that curve again to iterate and to play with yet another idea, I can still do that. So I'll just finish doing that, and I'd do the same down here as well. Okay, so if I wanted to iterate and play with this again, I'd click that surface, copy, paste, and just put it somewhere else so that I can play around with that in a different way. So this is kind of entire. Yeah, so the whole idea is that you ideate, as in you do not only one idea, but then I could think it's always safest to group them while I'm thinking about what to do next. Maybe, you could move it, click it, put it there. Q is rotate. I could put the rotate tool there, come out following the red axes and split it open like that. Then maybe I could explode them again, exploding just being ungrouping, and then maybe I could do I could then kind of just put all those together in a group. So just in case I kind of run over them with this next design, it's not going to matter. And then I could come out here and do like a big circle space. So again, that's just another little idea. And again, maybe I ideate, copy, paste, and this one here is done, group. And now maybe the idea here is that I play around with what if I had, again, hold control with the move tool engaged, don't plonk it right on top of that one. This is the risk. I'll show you. If you do that and then you got to try to move things, that happens. So that's where you just have to be like very careful when things are ungrouped and you're moving around. Just move around with a bit of caution. So click, make a copy, and just make sure they're not going to be touching. And then I can go Q while they're still engaged. Out here, flip it around 180 degrees, and maybe do an idea that's kind of like a little diamond shape there. Hand down. Somehow must have made a copy of that. And then now we've got kind of, it needs a floor, so it needs a floor. That's how we start making them a little bit more. Maybe they don't all need that. You'll see mine don't all have that. I've just played around with a bunch of shapes first and then sort of selecting the ones that I do want to kind of put a bit of an idea of a floor on by joining up and using other shapes. So that's basically what I do, and just kind of use the pencil tool, the circle tool, the arch tool, and try to think through how I'd make these shapes in a kind of a logical sort of way. I mean, certainly this one here is just a shape I made initially, just like a normal diamond. And then I got on the arch tool, clicked here and here. The purple is also the perfect tangent, and then I just erased that. And all I did was I made a copy and then flipped it. So flipping stuff is quite easy to do. Again, move tool. Oh, you can copy paste. Copy paste is fine. I just like the move tool because it moves it just in place easier. And then while it's selected, right click and flip along one of those. So that did work that time. And then you've kind of got those. So just have a tutu and a good play and use those tools. It probably looks more difficult than it actually is in practice.